What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and we're going to give you our projected records for the SEC based off of all the projected records we have done. If you've missed it, we've gone through all the Power 5 teams, previewed the schedules, and then given a projected record based off of really how tough that schedule is and how good each team is expected to be. These are not our official predictions. Our predictions will look different. We do this every year, and they always are different, but it's simply a projection. Again, based off of how good most people think these teams are going to be, and then putting that up against how tough their schedule is. So let's get started with the SEC East. We've got Vanderbilt at the bottom, going 5-7, 2-6 in the conference. Another thing here, we did our projections based off of the overall record, and then I just kind of went in and made it work with the conference record. So you're going to see, really base this more off of the overall record, but I did make it to how it would fit in a way where we can do the actual conference standings. So that's why I do have the conference record, but there was not a projection based off of the conference games. The projection was based off of all 12 games, and then I just kind of made it work with the conference games. So Florida ahead of them at 6-6 overall, 3-5 in the SEC. And again, I broke all of this down for every team. We did every single Power 5 team. So if you're wondering, well, how did Florida wind up at 6-6? You can go watch that Florida video and see exactly why that is their projected record. Ahead of them is Missouri. So if there was a tie, I just went with whoever plays at home in that matchup. So Missouri gets Florida at home. That's why they're ahead of them here in the standings. But again, both teams 6-6, both teams losing a non-conference game. That means Florida would split with Utah and Florida State. If they lose both of those games, then obviously that's going to make them 4-4 in the conference if they go 6-6. So again, it's all based off of the overall, but wanted to put this into actual standings with those conference records. Kentucky also 3-5 in the conference, but 7-5 overall. A better overall record. That's why I put them ahead of Missouri and Florida. But again, 3-5 for them in the SEC. Pretty easy non-conference schedule for the Wildcats this year. South Carolina at 4-4 in the conference, 7-5 overall. Of course, they've got North Carolina and Clemson. So our projection had them, if you want to break it down to the conference record, had them splitting those two games and then going 4-4 in the SEC. Tennessee's projection at 9-3. 5-3 would be their conference record. They've got a pretty tough schedule, of course, having to play Alabama out of the West, and they do go on the road for that matchup, so that'll be a tough one. And then at number 1, Georgia, 8-0, 12-0 overall. The only game that was not really considered a win for them was Tennessee, but they were favored in that game, so that rounded it up to 12-0. So Georgia expected to go undefeated. Then Tennessee at 9-3, but every team but Vanderbilt here in the SEC East is projected to go to a bowl game. I would say that Missouri or Florida, one of those teams, probably winds up at 5-7, just because that's how it normally goes. You're not going to have that many teams bowl eligible, and these projections were done really conservatively. So some teams are going to obviously overperform and underperform. And if I had to guess, I would say that a couple of teams, at least overall in the SEC, will probably miss a bowl game this upcoming season. Let's go to the West now. Mississippi State finishes at the bottom, 2-6 in the SEC, 6-6 overall. Really, this was about their schedule. They've got a tougher schedule than some of the teams just ahead of them, and those teams were Arkansas and Auburn. And you see Auburn here at number 6. They would be 3-5 in the conference, 7-5 overall. They've got a really easy non-conference schedule. They do have to play Cal on the road, but Cal is not expected to be very good. So 7-5 for Auburn, 3-5 in the SEC. And then Arkansas also 3-5. They get Auburn at home. That's why they're ahead of them here in the standings. 7-5 overall for the Razorbacks. And just ahead of them, Texas A&M improving to 7-5, 4-4 in the SEC. And then also at 4-4 in the conference, Ole Miss, 7-5 overall. So they tied. They get Texas A&M at home. So again, that's what I did for the tiebreakers. Just went with a team that had home field advantage. And at number 2, we've got LSU, 10-2, 6-2. But that could easily be a different conference record if, let's say, they lose to Florida State. They could go 10-2, lose to Florida State, then they would be 7-1, and that would actually put them in first place because Alabama is in first at 6-2 as well. So 10-2 for the Tide, 6-2 in the conference. They've got a tough schedule. I mean, it really works out well for them because most of the big games are at home, Tennessee, LSU. But if you just look at their opponents, with Texas in the non-conference, they actually have a pretty tough schedule this year. So again, if LSU were to lose to Florida State and go 10-2, that would put them at 7-1, and that would have them winning the SEC West. So again, we're considering it a tie here. Alabama with home field advantage. That's why they're ahead of them in the standings. But you could also look at Alabama. Let's say they lose to Texas and they go 10-2. They could also be 7-1. So a tie there at the top with Alabama, LSU. Then you've got Ole Miss, Texas A&M. Then Auburn, Arkansas tied. Mississippi State at the bottom. I did this with Mississippi State in a higher tier, but as some of these other teams. But their schedule was just tougher with who they play out of the East and everything. So that's why they finished at the bottom. And that's why schedules are so important when trying to determine which teams are going to have success in the upcoming season. So this is the projection for the West. We showed you the East. I'd love to get your thoughts. Do you think it's going to play out like this, close to this, maybe totally different? Give me your thoughts, your predictions down in the comments below.